thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your graciousness for our late start a little bit. But you know what? My name is Siobhan O'Loughlin, and I am your host for tonight's home studio show and tell. I started late because I'm without one David Goldberg, which means that when the cat's away, the mouse can start late. So she did, and brought a little bit of Tupac to give us a good evening. I mean, for some of us who are on the West Coast, the evening has really just begun. So happy hour to you, whatever that means to you in your, physical and metaphysical journey. So this is Home Studio Show and Tell. This is an Edge Studio event. It is our third ever community evening event for this particular program. And I'm personally a big fan of evening stuff. You all, for those who know me, they know I'm on my big coffee kick in the mornings. But I want to encourage you to kind of vibe. And so if you're chilling out and you want a happy hour drink, or if that happy hour drink is some kombucha or some water, then I want you to be at ease and feeling like, there's a vibe. People are already hello in the chat. Please do utilize this chat. It is our place to bond because, as you might have noticed, you are all muted, and that is because, Zoom is chaos if you don't rule it with an iron fist of love, truly of love. And so everybody, yes, greetings in the chat. We have Oakland. Okay, good. So we have some people that my West Coast song was for. Oh, hey, what's up, Derek? Hey, Natasha, Steve. Okay, we got Baltimore going on. We got Knoxville. All right, and we are still counting. Vancouver. Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, Terry, you're here. To you in the house, my alumni. Went to the same undergrad. What's up, Glenda in Virginia? Benevolent dictator, Steve, you know me very well. Okay, Pittsburgh, my parents are from there. We got San Diego, we got Atlanta. Okay, and we're just climbing up in the numbers. I love it. Thank you, everybody. Keep it going and use the chat to kind of hang out and to, we're going to use that to interact with each other this evening. California to Ann Arbor. Todd, I have heard Ann Arbor is great, so I hope you're loving it there. So if you are not on Zoom all the time, like me, and you're on desktop, then the chat box should be on your right, or it might be a pop-up feature. The chat might be something that you want to save moving forward, so you can click on that little ellipses in your chat box. It's to the right of the box, and you'll see that there is a save chat option for you. It's the very top option under that little drop-down with the ellipses for your viewing pleasure. This is being recorded. It is being recorded in the speaker mode. If you go to your view button, that's your top right on a desktop, you will see that you can participate in this in either the speaker or the gallery. The gallery allows you to see everybody's Zoom squares, which I like to do because I like to know when y'all are laughing at my jokes. And, so feel free to be, charismatic in your square. I will notice it, and I will feel less alone. However, if you want to blow up the beautiful faces of the people like mine, who can blame you, you're going to watch this in speaker mode. I will be guiding this experience a little bit for you and highlighting our two amazing guests and spotlighting them, obviously, also for your viewing pleasure and to see what they got going on. So before we get into all of that, obviously, I'm going to, here as an Edge Studio representative, as it were, I'm going to tell you about the stuff we got going on in our end. We're starting a group coaching series with David Goldberg. It's the idea is to make group coaching more affordable and accessible to people. So this is a link for that if you're curious about group coaching as opposed to all of this, like doing it one-on-one, which costs a little bit more money. And so animation fundamentals, if you're an anime nerd, I used to be, actually I'm not as much as I used to be, but I did go to Otakon when I was in middle school. So we do have animation fundamentals, a class taught by the Yugi of Yu-Gi-Oh! That is one Jay Snyder. He is amazing. It's happening on April 30th. I am obsessed with him. I did my animation demo with him, and I was crying all the time just from his glory. So I highly recommend a class. Honestly, the fact that we got him to teach a class was incredible because Jay is busy. Ralph, he's so busy. Yes, Ralph, isn't he busy? The man, he's got stuff to do. If you are like, hey, Siobhan, you seem like a genius. I want to spend more time with you. Well, I am teaching the social content calendar. Nope, that's an animation. Let me redo this. Copy and paste. We're trying again. Yes, this is my class. It's a social content calendar. It's about social media and kind of creating a bit of strategy for you. I will not be sharing my content calendar with you because it is kind of a stressful place, but I'm going to teach you a lot of the tips and tricks I know. We're going to take a poll in the class to emphasize the social media outlets that you might want to do and focus on the most, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn. We're going to get into it and develop a bit of a game plan moving forward, because without a strategy, I feel like a lost little lamb in the woods. And I don't think lambs should be in the woods. I don't think that's a good idea. If you're totally new to voiceover, we have Investigate Voiceover. It is our introductory class. It is happening online and in person in New York and Los Angeles. So check that out if you are a beginner and you are like, IDK, what to do. We can talk you through that. And that was a wonderful thing. So, and then finally, if you're also, thinking about your home studio stuff and like, what should I do after I've been so inspired by the guests tonight, this evening, we do have home studio consultations, and those are with my friend Dan Friedman, and there's a link to that. Okay, so now I'm gonna cough. Give me just a second. Did that, and thank you. Thanks, everyone. And now I'm super excited to get us started. So today we have two guests. For everybody who came to my premiere event, thank you so much for being there. I was a little bit big for my britches in having 3 people. They were amazing, but I really found myself just like doing a crash course in voiceover through 3 incredible guests. So in this case, I've just got two for you, so we have enough time to be with them. And they are Dale Strickland and Micah Ball. They're 2 charming, incredible gents. I just was hanging out with them before the session in what I like to call a pre-show. I come from the theater, in case you can't tell. Hello, Emily. Welcome, welcome. Switch to the laptop. Come on back. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to the 2 of them about their space, and you can feel free. We're going to do a tour of each of their spaces, and in the chat is where you can pose any and all questions about the thing itself. So we will we'll do the tour, we'll do questions, we'll do the tour, we'll do questions, and we'll bring both of our gents back to talk more in depth. And I'm just going to get this going by, let me see, one of my Zoom queen powers here. I am just going to open up with Dale. Dale, hello and welcome.
Hello.
And thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. You're talking about theater, and actually I had to rush back from my improv class just to get here in time. So the theater's been on the brain.
Okay, jazz hands for the improv. I promise to yes and you today, Dale. I will
Fantastic.
not you. Yeah.
Don't leave me hanging.
So Dale, thank you so much. When you filled out the form and you list everybody, Dale described himself self-identified beginner, which I love, and I also love. Can you tell us your cat's name? First question.
This is Marley, and she really wants to walk on the desk right now.
Marley loves the attention because she's been kind of strutting this entire time, and I've been low-key obsessed. So Dale, my first question for you to open this up is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as a voice actor? How did you get started, and where are you currently on your journey?
Certainly. I consider myself like an emerging early career voice actor. I made the mistake of, for a while, of calling myself an aspiring voice actor, but as soon as I took out the word aspiring and just said voice actor, so many opportunities opened up. Like, if you take yourself seriously, so everyone else, Marley, she's behind the desk now. Okay, she wins. I've had some paid experience, like a lot of people growing up. I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a video game tester. I want to be a voice actor. Like, these things sound fun. But then coming to college, we actually had like a professional development course. We're like, hey, choose a professional focus. And I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. And I remembered this dream. And my teacher pushed me a little bit, and I made some connections with like local digital media companies, got on their roster. Through my connections, I managed to pay for my tuition that year. So I was like, wow, like it's nice work when you can get it. So I started thinking about it as a viable career at that point. And my most recent emergence of thinking this is an actual career opportunity would have been, I got a award called the Jane LeBlanc Acting Support Award. And they gave me enough funds to take an introductory voiceover class with On the Mic training. And that's like, hey, like, here's training, here's what you can do. And it's skyrocketed things from there.
So I forgot to even ask you, can you remind us of where you are located?
Sure. New Brunswick,
New Brunswick. Okay.
East Coast Canada.
And so you were basically like through connections, through networking, like things just sort of started happening based on kind of creating those contacts, like out of your network. Would you say?
Yeah, all the work that I've done so far has been local. Like I'm part of my local film cooperative, which through them, so I heard about the Jane LeBlanc Acting Support Award, and just getting to know people through there. There's filmmakers I know that are working on animation projects, so kind of like trying to get my my experience through that has been a lot of fun.
I love it, and also we've got New Brunswick, sorry, Central New Jersey.
New Brunswick, Canada here.
What's up, Russell? Yeah, Canadians. I used to be like, oh my God, Canadians, like healthcare. Are you guys single? What's going on? So, yeah, that was my joke back in the day. Although I guess it still applies to the world we live in. So, okay, amazing, Dale. Thank you so much. Are you ready to kind of give us a tour of your space?
Sure. So I will have to preemptively apologize for the mess because I had to take everything out of the closet and put it on the bed for now. And the closet being a closet, trying to make it work as a booth, I ran out of closet space. It's a little tight in here at the apartment building I'm currently in. But I think a lot of people that get started in voice acting are familiar with the closet booth setup. A whole bunch of clothes does really well for isolation. I'll switch over to the camera there. I have two microphones going, so I'm going to switch over to my booth mic and there. Say I want to put a little bit of sound in my monitor so I know if I'm yelling at you too hard. Sec. Okay, it should be good. You live? Yeah, you can see me. Okay, so all these canvas bags up here are stuffed with rock wool that I'll eventually make into proper bass traps for the corners. Because I started with, can you see this? Yeah, tilt. So I have like this cheaper acoustic foam. Am I too far over? Where am I? There I am. So this stuff doesn't do so much for the bass frequency. So I bought rock wool. to build DIY bass traps, but I'm sourcing like the pallets and the moving blankets for the classic home studio feel. I've considered the PVC booth option as well, but for now, closet full of clothes. I'm working with the Audio-Technica AT2020 going into a Zoom H4n. We have a nice house coat here encompassing through. I have a reflective shield here.
Here we go, back in it. And Dale, feel free to start over if you want, actually.
It's like I'm trying to be mindful. Maybe if I bring the microphone out here, you can hear me better while I present. Yes. So quick recap: closet, clothes, classic. Canvas bag stuffed full of rock wool that someday will be made into proper bass traps for the corners. I do have some cheaper acoustic foam for the high frequencies, but I need to deal with the bass a bit more to help with like the reflections coming out. I have this goose down duvet, and I have this meaty looking clamp. There we go. Big clamps. The big clamps are a recent upgrade. And where's the other one? Hello and welcome to what we're doing now.
All right. Third time's a charm. Here we go.
Cool. I think we're pretty much done on me, but I'll wrap up what I was getting into. Want to give some semblance of a preview, but the goose down blanket, I tend to like clip to one of the bags in here, and it gets relatively dead. Pop filter, there we go. So this should just be my audio now. Okay, there we go. I can hear me. It's a little claustrophobic, but it works. I normally do have some stuff to deal with the corners right now, but I don't have that in place. And I'll bring an iPad in here with me for my script. And yeah, that's honestly is pretty much it. Do you want me to talk about future plans and upgrades, or is that gonna be later on?
Sure. I mean, there's so many questions popping in the chat. The first one is from Ryan. Is it 1,000,000 degrees in there?
It can get hot, yeah, especially if you're doing, like for me, to get into character of any sort, I want to be like moving a little. So I'm trying not to move the blankets, but I need to like move a bit, and it does get pretty stuffy. I can like vent the sheet in between takes.
There are some gear items that Dale gave me in advance because he's awesome. And so here's the stuff that we're working for. The soundproofing is a mix of cheap acoustic foam, canvas bags stuffed with Rockwool. The closet, as we can see, full of clothes. Goose down duvet. What do you use for the flooring there?
Everything's naturally carpeted, and I also have several laundry bags full of laundry at the bottom that just live there organically, but they do absorb sound too.
Amazing. Okay. And it sounds great. We're getting lots of compliments in the chat. How do you handle? Do you feel like how do you handle ventilation? Is that a thing?
Not yet. It obviously ventilation is important, but in my case, it's just between takes. I open up the little thing, I shove it off to the side, and I get back to it. If it gets warm in here on a warm day, you just kind of buckle up and deal with it at this stage. No whisper room with proper ventilation, but even then, you'd probably had to turn off ventilation between takes.
Yes. Okay. So this is great and sounds sweet already. We've got screen sharing comments. I'm scrolling through. Everybody, thank you all for being so kick-ass in this circumstance of chaos that we're living in. Dale, so what is the thing that you would improve about this space if time and money weren't impacting, weren't an issue ever right now?
Of course. So I'm doing the best I can with like the closet situation, and my philosophy is I'll make do with what I have before over investing. Whatever I earn from voiceover can be reinvested. So at some point, time, money, less of an object. But the immediate upgrades would be those base traps for the corners. Like being in a closet can get a little boxy. So it'd be nice to deal with those. Late future, maybe look into something like the Whisper Room, or there's a Canadian equivalent that I can't remember their name, but it's Bear something. But proper base traps. I feel like I had a wish list at some stage, but I really do think the base traps are the big thing, and maybe a proper some moving blankets. Maybe get one of those like PVC setups here, so I don't have to like drape this over my shoulders. So I have more room to move. But that'd be my intermediate step.
From Wazir, do you while you're in this home studio, do you actually have to go into the closet, or do you stand where you are currently standing, just with the cover over you, like like you're a ghost?
Good question. I do generally actually go into the closet a little bit, not by much, like in here a little ways. I do want to reduce the amount of extra space to some degree. So I get relatively close. I get my walker away here. I think I'm probably at least a foot in the closet.
Okay. Amazing. That's awesome. So, beginner's question: what is Rockwool?
Oh, there's another word that I've heard the Americans use. Like Roxol. It's insulation. Actually, I could take some out to show you. It's not actually fiberglass, but it's some idea. Like you put it in your walls to help with like insulation, but also have sound absorbing properties.
Yes.
And it's just like a cheap way to build base traps, or in this case, I just stuffed canvas bags to absorb sound as best we can. Yeah, Roxol, I think, is what I've heard it called overseas.
And it's wonderful. From Bill, your closet sounds so much better than when you're in front of your screen. It's so nice that just a little bit of stuff makes such a difference. So I've put some of his gear items in the chat so that you can recognize them. Sounds good. We got compliments. We got from Jill. How do you manage the wires connecting to your interface, and how do you handle that?
Sure, we're gonna go handheld here. All right, let's see. Can I see? I'm gonna have to take in a journey here. So over there, way over where everything's backwards for me. So that's me, and that's the direction I want to go, and I gotta turn it this way. Woo! On top of my computer tower, which I'm not sure if I can see, there it is the actual interface. And I also just have a wire running across the floor, and when I'm not being a voice actor, I just unplug it. And for my desktop mic, I have a little bit of built-in cable management to the desk that just goes around the back and plugs in to the interface.
Okay. Amazing.
I didn't put on the gear list, but I recently found this. You're supposed to put your microphone in it, and it's a self-contained little thing, kind of like the Keiko eyeball, similar concept with like a built-in pop filter. But I haven't tested it out yet because the shock mount I put the AT in doesn't fit it. But I'm curious to try it out. You're surprised what people throw out.
Amazing. Okay. So, there's a lot. Okay, we have so many questions, guys.
Keep 'em coming.
I think I've removed the person. Um, but holler if send me a DM if somebody still is putting profanities in the chat. Freaking distracting and not cool. So that was not me. No, I know, Erica. I know it wasn't you. I was like, that was the person that was coming. Like, someone was like taking people's names and then being horrible. And Erica, I know it was not you. And I'm hoping I removed the right human. And we're gonna ignore them. Keep going. So Dale, people are asking. There's another question I wanted to, I guess, to get this. People, I think that there's so many questions. What is the budget range to spend for a home studio like yours at this juncture? Or, range is fine if you don't want to get super specific.
Great question. I'm going to see if I can make a reasonable estimate. I got my AT 2020 second hand. These are all Canadian dollars, by the way. I think I paid for this plus a stand like 150, 200. I think, I'm not sure how much it goes for new. This reflective thing was probably 20, 25 bucks secondhand. Like, everything here is secondhand. But from what I've seen, the rock sole was actually relatively expensive, but I got that secondhand also, but I can't remember how much I paid for it. But if I was to guess, this is under 500. Well, I suppose the Zoom H4n is a bit more expensive, but it's more than just an interface. If you got like a basic interface, like a Scarlett Right Solo, I think you'd be still under the 500 range. But don't really quote me on that. I'm not expert on remembering my finances. I have an app to do that for me.
I appreciate that. Hey, thank you so much, Dale. Super appreciate
Thank you.
We'll bring you back later on. So if you have more questions, yes, give us the up twinkles and the jazz hands in your Zoom squares. Okay, so I am now looking for Micah. I feel that I have lost Micah somehow. Micah, there you are. I see you. Okay, I am bringing you to the stage, and I am gonna give Dale a little break, and I'm gonna bring myself. All right, Micah, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Dale. That was bringing back memories of the early 2000s when I first started out and going into the kitchen pantry and pulling out all the cans and jars and setting up like my camping sleeping bags on the walls so I could like set up my old microphone in there, and it was awesome. Of course, back then we didn't have internet, and I was submitting my tapes to potential agents and clients, literal cassette tapes. Yeah.
We appreciate, and we were talking about,
What's a cassette tape?
yeah, I'd love to know. Of course, I had a cassette tape, so I know the deal. But Micah, will you tell us a little bit about your voiceover journey and how you got started and where you are now?
Yeah, I'll try and surmise this as best I could. I'd gotten into radio. I was my undergraduates was in singing and theater. Again, theater, rock and roll guys. And I did professional singing. I loved it. I got into radio because I loved music, college radio, just loved it. Started out in radio in the mountains of Colorado. Got a great job up in Aspen. And when I walked in the doors and I got introduced to the production director, she was like, "You ever heard about voiceovers?" And I was like, "What's that?" And this is 1998, So I'm working with them. I'm audio, one of the audio directors, DJs for them and stuff. And I started doing a lot of the commercials for their clients. Of course, I'm doing it for free. because I'm a employee of the radio station. But a few of the, and this is a small valley. This is, Aspen, Glenwood Springs, ski town. And a lot of the clients started asking for my voice to be able to be played along multiple different radio stations, which of course the radio station I was working for didn't allow. So it kind of came to a point, and I took the cheddar, man. Radio stations didn't pay that much back then anyway, in small areas anyway. So it was like, okay, I had to bartend to keep the money anyway. And honestly speaking, my bartending side job paid more than the radio station did. So I made a choice one afternoon, and I said, screw it. I'll take this guy's offer. And I ended up starting doing campaigns, and I became the voice of, a Jeep dealership up in Glenwood Springs and Ace Hardware in Aspen. I did. It was fun. And I fell into a lot of side stuff or emceeing events. And it turned into a really lucrative, fun thing. And I got back into radio. Of course, expensive to live up in the mountains. So you're always getting side jobs. You're always doing the side hustle thing. And I became a father. You fall back, you move forward, you break through, and then you hit a roadblock, and you peter out. You have 5, 6 different clients for 3, 4 years, and then you got 2. And again, a lot of this was before the internet really was an actual moneymaker for you. And you couldn't submit your tapes through the internet. It was all on cassettes. And then there were WAV files and CDs. You actually delivered your work to your client via CD. There was on a WAV file. MP3s were not good enough back then. And then at one point I got picked up by an agent, a reputable agent in the early 2000s, and I had been trained with the radio voice, the monster truck rally, the movie, coming soon to a theater near you.
The announcer voice?
Let's not sound too announcery. And when you got a voice like mine and you're cold out of in radio, how do I not sound announcery? I actually got dropped by my first agent. I had an A+ in my technical skills, but a C- in my acting. and I learned real quick that the first thing that comes before talent and before ability is the acting side of it. You need to develop your chops. You need to develop your range. And I was even a performing arts major, graduated cum laude in my university from CSU in Fort Collins, but I'd never made the connection between my acting and my voice work. I was approaching my voice work from a radio broadcasting side, not from a performing side. I wasn't owning a character. So that was my first big lesson learned. And, you fall on your face the first time. And it wasn't from anything else or anybody else. It was from me. It was something I failed to do. So that was the first part. I didn't give up, I kept pushing at it. I ended up getting a few little, got a couple of national gigs, one for Marty Stouffer. Remember Marty Stouffer's Wild America? I actually, when they first did their website and started putting reels on their website, I was the first guy. I did their voiceover for that. Wild America is online. That was all I did. Got paid, I don't know, $800 for it or something. But that was back in 2005, 2006, something like that. So I kept going, plugging away, trying to be a father, trying to, keep the end game going in town there. And by the way, I was a complete outdoor junkie, adrenaline junkie, caver, snowboarder, mountain climber. Like, in fact, most of this time, that took precedence over everything but my kid. So I was almost a hobbyist at this time, right? And I kept going. Um, Fell in love, got married, fell out of love, lost the marriage. Um, life happens, is what I'm saying, I guess. And then something happened, and I just had this option of giving up and walking away forever, but I kept going, and I decided I'm gonna put more money into my studio. I'm gonna yes, improv is vital for acting, by the way. And I don't know why I just glanced down at the chat at that particular time.
Don't do it. You'll
Um,
get sucked in. I'll take care of them.
and I decided, I went back and I got coaching, actually. Um, I coached with some really strong people back then, and I found some coaches out in LA. I found a coach locally in Colorado, and I worked on it. And I worked on killing my ego, and really started listening to where I was going, and started paying attention to what professionals were feeding back to me. And then I worked hard enough, and I actually did my own demo, which you should never do, by the way. Um, but I did get an agent. I got a regional agent out of Colorado, and so I worked for an agency in Colorado, and started getting more and more voiceovers. And then I got on with a narration company called watchit.com. And for a while, they actually had a voiceover division. And I was working up to 20 hours a week narrating news stories and things like that. We were converting media stories from print to digital. And I was working for BBC. I was doing stories for BBC, Reuters, Time Magazine, a couple of them I think I did, and a few others. It was really cool. And it was steady voice work. That's what's key. It wasn't the biggest paying paycheck, even despite the names, because I was a third party. But it wasn't the biggest paycheck, but it was steady. That's gold. That's gold in the voiceover world. So I gained an agent about 2014, and things just kept growing and growing and growing. And it was all regional, a lot of corporate VO. I did a lot of on hold messaging for a lot of the businesses around the mountain towns and resort towns of Colorado. Some corporate, like, explainer videos. I actually have a little bit of experience with building websites and e-learning courses, so I actually narrated and built some e-learning courses as well. That was pretty fun. And of course, my voice lends itself to that kind of, like, tutorials. Here's what you do here. So I had a blast. And I was getting ready to I'm working on, I cold called a national talent agency, which you should never do. And they got back to me, which they never do. And I need to get a new commercial demo going. So that's what I'm working on right now. Everything got hit to, everything came to a screeching halt in 2019. I'm just going to set it out there. I've had a minor form of epilepsy my entire life, really small seizure activity. And it broke through into what they call generalized seizures, which come out as tonic-clonic and grand mal, the kind of seizures most people think about when epilepsy is mentioned. And it debilitated me, and it destroyed me. I lost everything, and I had a pretty nice setup back in Glenwood Springs when I was still living up there. But because of the medical condition, and because of the treatment that I had to go through, I had to move back down to the Front Range of Colorado to go through specialty treatment with the neurology department, the epilepsy department in UC Health in Denver. They're actually really, really top-notch, nationally known epilepsy treatment center. So I'm staying with family on the Front Range, just west of Loveland, Colorado, on the way up to Estes Park in what was used to be the township of Wild, Colorado. We got cliffs right outside my studio. I have cliffs, and I have a llama corral because the family has two old retired pack llamas that are kind of my mascots now. So that's what I get to look out my window and see while I'm recording and editing my stuff. So
I did put on Instagram the llama as my third image in the carousel, and so because I was like, maybe we'll see one. But so Micah, do you feel ready to take us on your tour?
Yes, it would be my pleasure. I'm going to share a screen because it's really difficult for me to actually stand up and give you a real quick live tour. So I put together a couple of a real quick photo collage that I'm going to share with you guys, and I'll explain where this is going, okay? So here we go. How do I share the screen? Sharing. I am nowhere near as savvy with the video stuff. Here we go. Okay.
Don't panic, everyone, because Micah can do it because he's a co-host, and that is Micah's home.
I am allowed. Yes, I am allowed. So this is. I got to explain this really quick. This studio is actually an old horse stable that was converted into kind of a bunkhouse back in the day. My father and I actually turned this into a bunkhouse and built a wall and insulated what used to be the sliding door. So what you can see right here, where you look at my cursor, where this fake Indian blanket is actually an old stable door where the horses used to go in and out, right? In order to keep the sound from the rest of the barn from coming in, and for insulation purposes, I put in insulation panels, R22 insulation, and then 1/4-inch acoustic sound board. It's kind of like particle board, kind of like cork board, somewhere in between there, but it's the same kind of board that they put in between drywall and your studs when you're building like indoor theaters and stuff like that. So I put layers of that I filled up, and there's 4 of these horse bay doors. I filled up each door bay with this kind of insulation. So there you have that. And then what we got here is my editing station. And yes, I do all my own editing. I've been audio producing since 1999, so I get off on it, honestly. Like when you get into your editing, sometimes it just becomes like a zen-like state for me. And when I'm mixing stuff down, like promos, imaging, mixing in music, and I love it. I love it. I geek out on it. That's my geek thing, right? That and gear. I do geek out on gear. Right here, I've got this is where I do my podcast. When all this happened to me, I had all this gear laying around, and I was like, well, it's gathering dust, and I need to vent. What do I do? I've been a broadcaster for 20 years. So I started a podcast called Seizure Salad, Fuster Cluck Epilepticus. And I'm having fun with it. You should check it out. Actually, I'll put a link in if you want to. Cool. So right here, like I said, here's my this is my podcasting mic. This is where I do most of my podcasting, like online and stuff, if I don't have anyone with me in the studio. This is a Shure SM7B. It's a classic. I'd say aside from the Electrovox EV20, it's probably the most used microphone in any recording studio, like as far as a radio station or anything like that. So it's great, and it's more unidirectional. It's not it's still a cardioid pattern, but it's more directional. So it kicks out the noise from the side, and it's more directional, so that it's better for areas that aren't treated, like heavily treated areas. It's not the microphone I use for my auditions or for my voiceover work. And then I do run this through a blue tube. It's a PreSonus Bluetooth preamp. And then there's my audio box. It's a PreSonus. So I use PreSonus gear. I think Focusrite probably has a better noise floor, signal to noise ratio. But these guys are really good too. These guys are really good too. If you're going to go PreSonus, personally speaking, I've learned that it's good to get a preamp to go with it. So you're better off probably just going Focusrite, honestly. I learned this the hard way because I got Focusrite for my son when I was setting up his recording space. He's a musician, savant, badass, by the way. But I got him Focusrite, and I found out afterwards from attending Edge Studio workshops and the community that everybody's using Focusrite, and it's actually really, really good. And then I looked at the specs, and I'm like, God damn, I should be using Focusrite. So that's going to be one of my upgrades, by the way. These are my studio monitors. They're a PreSonus as well, but these guys are great. It's the Eris model. These are the smallest ones you can get because I like being mobile, especially after I lost everything. I'm mobile. I want it to be mobile. I want it to be functional, like modular. I want it to be able to kind of organize and fit for any situation. So these are the 3.5, 3.5 diameter drivers, and they're fantastic monitors. Really gives you a flat, honest response of any of the sound that's coming through. Let's see, what have you here? Oh, this editing software, because I know that the question comes up a lot. I am, because I'm an old dog, Adobe Audition 3.0. And this is the last version they had, the last good version they had before Audition got soaked into the Adobe Creative Suite and is now the new Adobe, which is an awesome version. But my license is still good from way back when, and it still works. So I'm an old dog, but I am trying to learn Reaper. I've heard that Reaper's fantastic, and I actually bought the license and downloaded it. You don't have to buy the license. It is a free download, and you can continue to renew a trial version perpetually. The Reaper software is a great DAW to look into. Okay, so here we go. On the other side of the Colorado flag there is the recording space. And this is where I audition, and this is where I do my voiceover work. You'll look at right here, you see that blanket. That's one of the blankets. I use Vocal Booth To Go, the Producer's Choice sound blankets. They're 80 inches by 80 inches, and they have grommets, 5 grommets across the side. And this window this is my killer. This window is the killer in my booth because it definitely reflects sound. So I have a curtain that comes down. It's like a canvas style border between canvas and cloth. So that'll come down to help reduce any kind of bounce back. But then on this curtain rod, I've got a Producer's Choice sound blanket that I can pull across and attach to the other sound blanket that is right behind that Colorado flag. I hung this other fake Indian blanket over here to help any kind of, you don't want 90-degree flat surfaces next to each other because that'll help slap the echo across. So I threw that sound blanket up to help disperse any sound waves that might be causing any echo there. So that's the rest of this editing, podcasting area that I have here. There's the blanket as it's pulled across, and you see there, this is a T-stand. I'll show you this in a second. This is a T-stand that you can hang these vocal booths on, and then I can just unclip it from here and attach it right to the right there, and it produces a little bit of a little closure and a little sound blanket there. And this is the interior of it. Microphone that I use is an AT4033. I got this microphone in 2001, and it's done me such a great job that I really haven't thought about replacing it. I love this microphone, and it loves me. I wore out the shock mount. I re-banded it 3 different times, and I just gave up. And I bought one of these, I think they're called Rycote universal shock mounts. And instead of rubber bands or bands, they use this special rubber silicone thing, and it works pretty well. And again, I got some PreSonus gear here, preamp and stuff. And I use my laptop in here because the big computer I use for editing makes too much fan noise. And I've stripped this laptop that you see in the picture of all other stuff except for my immediate recording needs, so that it keeps the fan noise as low as possible, and I can record without worry of external noise. You see right there, of course, that's my long haul backpacks. That's my expedition backpack, and I keep it in the corner because it helps to keep that corner from trapping noise. That's one of my bass traps. And sometimes when I need to, I'll throw some blankets or my sleeping bags below that, and I'll tuck the sleeping bags behind that moving blanket, and that helps ease out that 90-degree corner, and that helps reflect it from becoming like, you don't need a bass trap in the corner, basically. So I improvise sometimes. And right behind this Producer's Choice sound blanket is another one of those horse door bays that I treated with the insulation and then the acoustic soundboards. Here we go. This is the wall. This is the one exterior wall of my recording space. And so I put up a sound blanket, and I put some cheap acoustic sound wedges right here. And again, another one just to kind of break up the flatness of the space. I threw my peak bagging backpack right here. This is the backpack I use to hit 14ers and go caving with and stuff like that. And then I'll fill this with cloth, blankets, or like pillows or something, this little fabric thing, and that'll help like break up any kind of sound waves getting caught in that corner. It's another trick I've used. So that's the other wall. What I'd like to do in the future with this one, what I realized what I need to do right here is I need to bring that blanket out from the wall about 2 inches. Maybe put a 2x4 up there at the top and in the middle at the bottom, because if I do that, then any sound that hits that blanket is going to go through the airspace before it hits the wall and comes back. And that's actually going to help to dampen the sound, and it'll help dampen the sound, any sound that might be coming from the outside. Although this corner property is the furthest away from the road, and it's the northern furthermost spot indoors from the rest of civilization, so to speak. And this is looking at the microphone right now, speaking toward, as you can see, the Colorado flag and stuff on the other side. And I chose this spot because as I speak toward the microphone from here, it's going down the shoebox of the bunkhouse, basically, because it's kind of shaped like a shoebox. The whole room itself is about 7.5 feet wide, and then like 28 feet long. And if I were to turn the microphone any other way, there'd be a better chance of my voice reflecting off of a wall or anything. And one really cool thing that I haven't needed any kind of ceiling treatment is because that ceiling is angled somewhere slightly above 20 degrees or so. So any kind of noise that goes up into the ceiling actually bounces away from the recording space, right? I actually have to speak almost directly up into the ceiling to hear any kind of brightness from this recording area. So it was just a lot of creative microphone placement. I have an area rug, an indoor-outdoor area rug down below me for the floor. And as of yet, I haven't had any complaints from any clients that would necessitate the kind of upper ceiling treatment. So that's where it's at. It's what I really like about it is it's mobile, it's shapeable. I can treat it as to where I need it. You know what I mean? And honestly, it's been years of collecting things off and on. There's Cardamom. That's one of the pack llamas, the retired pack llama. He comes and says hey to me every once in a while I'm recording. He's a great guy. There he is, giving you a smile. This is the little quote-unquote back deck right outside of the door when I go out and take a break and get some fresh air and stuff after I've been working a little too hard or sitting down for too long. There he is. He's an old man, too. Llamas live between 22 to 28 years in captivity. He's about 25. And there's the outside view of where I've been talking about, showing you right there. And then this is another view looking up at the Devil's Backbone, which is the cliff that goes right through our property, going north to south. And if you look real close, there's Cardamom sitting down. And then there's Solamente inside the shed eating hay. And this is a beautiful spring view outside of my recording space looking north. Yeah. So, hey, I love where I record. And
so much, Micah. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you guys for letting me share this.
Oh my gosh.
One more thing. Oops, that's not it. I wanted to show you guys something. And, there's all sorts of different ways you can do this. And I'm going to have to take off my headphones for a real quick minute. But these things that I found, it's like I was telling you and Dale while we were letting people in. These T-squares, for if any, and I know a few people use these vocal blankets. These T-squares allow you so much mobility. You don't need to build an entire pipe system, PVC studio booth per se. These T-stands that hold up these vocal booth blankets are 3 feet at the center, and then the arms that can fold out to 180 degrees or can bend in 90 degrees, they're a foot and a half each. So if you've got 2 blankets and 2 stands, you put them together, you got a 3 by 3 vocal booth, and then another blanket underneath, and you're good to go. So if you're going out somewhere, you're going to stay a while, you can bring that with you, and you've got some really effective portable vocal booths. And also, by the way, I also have he has the H4. I love the H4. And I told him, my son, about it. He went out and bought me the H6. This thing's really cool. Dale, you should look into it. And he's right. The interface on this is really cool. You can do it standalone. You can plug it into your computer. The H6 comes with capsules, different microphone capsules. This is a uni voice, so this is like mono. This is a shotgun mic in case you got a lot of exterior noise. And then there's a stereo one with offsetting microphones that you can adjust from 90 degrees to 120 degrees. Fun stuff if you're a techie or a gearhead, just to let you know.
Thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate that. That was awesome. And I know that it's just fun to see our stuff. And Michael was like, he's got these cool things to show you all. So, okay. Thank you so much, Micah, for this in-depth talk. It was awesome. And meanwhile, Dale has been slaying in the chat and just handling questions like a boss. When people are asking for opinions on some, Micah's down and Dale's is up, and why is that? And I was writing down things to ask later that Dale was just handling as kind of generic stuff, which is really freaking awesome.
That's pro. That's not beginner, Dale. That's pro.
This is all my own personal opinion / what I've researched. I am not a acoustic professional, but I've spent a lot of time wondering these very same questions, and this is what I picked up.
I really, no, it's honestly, there were 3 things happening at once, and it's really amazing. Yes, Amos, everybody's thank you, Micah and Dale. So, wonderful. And I know we're going a little bit over for a variety of reasons. The first one is because we started late, and the second one is because, somebody said so 2020, which I think is hilarious. That was hilarious.
I've never been Zoom bombed before, so that was completely new to me.
Well, you know what? Did you really pandemic if you didn't get Zoom bombed?
Yeah.
There they are. But boy, I've learned some stuff. So, okay. If people need to peace out, I understand. But if my gents will stay with me for another 10 minutes.
I'm totally willing to hang.
Fantastic. Okay, so we'll take on, if people have, this is quite we're I promise a wild time in the evenings.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think I'm going to start with kind of one generic question for the two of you, and I'll take, and if people want to start popping things into the chat in terms of questions for either or both person, I will handle those. But I'm gonna start with Dale and say, what is the thing that you are most proud of about your studio space currently?
That despite the budgetary limitations, I've managed to create something that is viable. Like there's more improvements to be made, but I've done my research. Actually, I have a background in digital media, so I'm not completely in the dark on audio stuff, but not a dedicated audio degree. But I've been able to bootstrap a viable solution, and I stopped myself from over investing before I was ready, which I do with a lot of hobbies. Like that bass hasn't been touched in years. Actually, I bought it to learn a song I never learned for 8 years. Yeah, just the fact that I was able to make it workable, and like if you didn't see what my space looks like, I might be able to convince you it's a better looking space than it is.
I love that, and I hope people take some inspo from that of like, not over investing at first, working in a sort of DIY setup to get yourself going, and like booking the work that, as he said, like, and thank you for showing us your space. But like, if you didn't see it, you wouldn't necessarily know that it's, he called it janky, and I said no, I was just thinking punk rock aesthetic.
I like that. That's a good flip.
So yes, Cassie, definitely I will. This will be on YouTube this weekend. Micah, woo! Yeah, well, I'm gonna edit it though. I'm gonna cut out the crazy. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you really missed out on a wild time, and you oughta show up to the one next month. So Micah, what about you? What's the thing that you feel most proud of about your space currently?
I feel most proud of, because I've made huge. It's versatile. That's what I love about my space, because I'm down here for treatment. I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow. I don't know where I'm going to be living after all of my diagnoses and all that stuff is done. And I am going to be better after this. I'm conquering this shit. This shit don't own me, baby. But anyway, I've figured out a way. I finally, because I made so many mistakes in the past, that I've overshot the gun. I've overshot the gun. I got a fucking MXL ribbon mic, for God's sakes. The thing sucks. But why did I have that? I don't need it. So many times I've gone out there in the past and bought things that I really, really didn't need. And yes, you don't need the gear you don't need. And I know my dream, and I think Dale will totally agree with me on this, is that yes, the ultimate dream is a whisper booth. But I also know when I will be able to use a whisper booth. And do you actually really need a whisper booth right now? Do you really fucking need that?
Not typical of clientele.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I drop a lot of bombs. I got some salty language. Listen to my podcast, you'll probably find out. But you're right. Why do you need a whisper booth? Is same thing as an isolation booth, a vocal booth. A lot of people call them whisper booths. So yeah, isn't it the Canadian term for it? No, I'm just kidding.
There's a company that
Studio Bricks. If I was going to get a booth, it'd be Studio Bricks, because Studio Bricks are actually designed to be able to break back down. It's a pain in the ass to build them back up, but they are actually designed like Lego booths. You can actually put them back in, and expensive. Hell yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah, I want to keep popping in these.
But I'm proud of being able to take the stuff I've got and be able to say, okay, do I need to move this room? Do I need to move this space? I'm not restricted by the gear. So I can boop, 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 okay, boom, and get creative. And what I love about Dale is that he's creative, and he's going to be able to take that creativity on with him to the gear he buys in the future and be like, well, you know what? I can do it this way like they told me, but I can also tweak it like this because that's what I've learned.
Yes.
So.
And Dale already was, doing this in the chat, but Danielle had asked, if I get Rockwool, how do I use it in a temporary closet booth, but not sure what to actually do with insulation, got highway noises, that sort of thing. And Dale, you sort of started to answer it. Do you want to expand on that at all?
Sorry, can you ask the question again?
Oh, just about what to do with the Rockwool. Like, how do you use it in your space?
Sure. So the way I'm using it in my space is a bit unconventional. The standard way people tend to create like a wooden frame with like different layers of like moving blankets and stuff because you want lots of air in these things to help like with the absorption, but also like the moving blankets help. And the rock wool is just another thing to absorb the sound so that it doesn't bounce back with as much. What I've personally done so far is I've taken all these like canvas bags, stuffed the rock wool into it, and put another bag on top. But like I wouldn't recommend that. This is what I've done.
I love it. I think that that's like, and also I appreciate this. Again, so what we're doing here, the purpose of this event is not to like, nobody's guaranteeing anything. Nobody's saying like this is a surefire. What we're doing is exploring how different people are like figuring things out. And boy, I'd hate to be as cliche as like, it's a journey, but it's going to keep changing. And Emily's asking like, I'm living in an apartment and like living situations and it's all there's so many variables into moving forward this way. And I'm curious, I'll start here with Micah with this one. Micah, do you feel that there are some basic beginner essentials that people should, that you feel helped you out when you were beginning, or you're muted also, baby.
Thank you. It's definitely key to invest in a good microphone. Yeah, that's key. Good. Don't even worry about the monitors per se, but get a good pair of headphones, you know? And then coaching. Honestly, those three things will take you so much further because everything else can kind of be built up as you go. You can improvise on everything else as you go, but you're not going to get far unless you have a decent mic, a good pair of something to listen back to, and good coaching. And you never stop coaching.
Reinvest back into your business. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
It's true, and I think that honestly, like and in terms of like plugging Edge Studio and what we do as well is like, a booking a consultation is so helpful. Like it's money, but it's like getting to talk to someone one on one about what your space is and what you are working with is, of course, heaps more helpful than having generic thoughts because every space is so different, and like both of them are saying, it's gonna it varies based on your life and your world. So okay, we're talking about this, but okay, this is interesting. Do either of you guys there's a question about ideas for how to put video screens in the case of live recording, dubbing audio to video stuff. Are either of you guys doing that right now?
I've been wondering what I'm gonna do with that too. And I'm like, do I need to like broadcast my iPad? But yeah, I don't have a solution to that yet.
No, I'm thinking maybe the person who asked that question could maybe get informed. We could all get a symposium together and we could figure out how, because I've been thinking about that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a video guy.
Go on a stand, so I do have like a bar in my closet, so I could technically hook something up there.
I was hoping you could help me, Dale, because you're that younger. Like I saw you moving that video camera around. I'm like, I'm so damn jealous of that. I got to figure out how to do that.
A tripod with a clamp that's meant for smartphones. They use an app to broadcast a OBS, open broadcaster software, to do Twitch streaming too.
Right over my head, man.
There you go.
It is a fancy effect. Are you using Ecamm for that?
IV cam, yeah.
IV cam, okay.
Yeah, there's lots of similar apps to like IP-based webcams. But yes, Mike, I can advise.
I'm trying to take notes here now.
People are like, "What's your Twitch stream?" Dale, we're all assuming. Wait, Dale, do you have a Twitch stream?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I stream Jackbox games and community games every first and third Sunday.
This is what's up. Oh, I didn't post. Okay, great. For my folks who are still here, the gear in Micah's space. Forgive me, y'all, for not.
PreSonus, yeah.
Here we are.
Oh God, I was supposed to do that, right? I'm sorry.
No, but no. no, it's me. That's my job. That's why I asked for it.
Oh,
But I'm
shut
like,
up.
all over the place. I keep looking like and making sure the chat doesn't have psychos in it. So okay, but everyone is nice, and that's so great. Okay, does anybody else have any questions here? I guess Terry is asking, Dale, what type of laptop are you using in the studio?
I'm actually not. I have like a really old iPad. Like it's so old it can't download Gmail. Old, and I send myself an email with the script and I read off that. And then like my desktop is something I just built, and the cord's long enough to go to my closet. So I don't have like a laptop in there. I didn't want to deal with fan noise, so I just did. Desktop's doing great. You can work hard. I don't have to worry about like underpowering it or anything like that. So the fans stay quiet. So I haven't had to worry about laptops.
There you go. Perfect answer. It's going to vary for everybody. Ceiling treatment. Micah, you got ceiling treatment in your space?
I do not actually. And I'm actually considering it. But the one reason I have not really had to address that yet is because my ceiling's angled at a point where any kind of echo that goes up there doesn't bounce back into the space. It bounces outside of the space.
There's been a lot of people asking about ceiling stuff, and I'm thinking too, like in my booth, I just kind of have those like the same panels. I just tilt some over so they're above my head. So I technically am treating my ceiling, but very punk rock like.
Yeah, I feel like that's the modern role. You just say something that might be like you say that, and then you add aesthetic, and it just sounds like like a really intentional vibe.
Yeah.
There's one. Okay, I want to hit two more questions here. And Devi is asking, and I think I know the answer, but I like sharing this around. Do people feel that a specific sound booth setup needs are different if you have a USB mic? Yeah, we'll let either. Michael,
Hot topic, eh?
Yeah, hot topic. Yeah,
I think
start
the
with Michael.
chat's done pretty. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I honestly speaking, I don't think so. Honestly speaking, I don't think so. I think it needs your digital microphone as opposed to an analog microphone is going to need a lot more probably setting within your audio card, your audio system within your computer or your device, whichever you're using. That's going to be the main difference. I don't think the sound space around it's really going to matter.
Mm-hmm. And I think Dale probably agrees.
Yeah, so I echo that, and I think the chat handled pretty well the discussion of USB versus XLR, which is still a hot topic, even to this day. Like they're getting there, but having all the components in one thing is just a higher noise floor, so it's a big topic.
Yeah.
They're really good. And then I want to end on this question, which is like, and this time, yeah, we'll start with Dale. Is there a voiceover, top voiceover memory experience so far for you that you've had in your space?
Yeah, I did an audition recently. I didn't make the role, but it was my first time playing like a creature, and I came to realize I really love doing weird noises. Like I've always known that, but I want to do a creature reel and get into that niche because like I have a background in like metal vocals and stuff like that, so I'm used to like doing weird and harsh stuff in my voice, screaming with safety. So like be able to play this grotesque screeching character with good endurance is a marketable skill. So just being able to try that out was so fun.
So good. And I don't know if you have any babies in your life, but I have tiny little nieces, and they do